Okay. Hey, everybody. It's Susan Peirce Thompson. We're live on Facebook, and I'm here with Bill and Tracy Krenz. Hi, Bill and Tracy.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for joining me. This is an interview. We're going to get to know them, everybody. I can't wait. Post your comments down below, and as we get going, post your questions for Bill and Tracy. We want to hear your questions for them, and let us know that you're here. Let us know what's on your mind today. Let us know where you are in the world, how you are. And we've put a link in the show notes here to the susceptibility quiz if you don't know where you're at on that quiz. Bill, Tracy, where are you on the susceptibility scale? What was your quiz score?
I was a 10.
I'm a 10.
Alrighty then, I'm a 10. So 10's in the house. 10 plus, or just like 10?
10, 9, 10.
I'm 10 plus.
Yeah, nice.
Once I start, I can't stop.
Yeah, totally. And once you stop, you have a hard time staying stopped?
Yes.
Totally. That's the thing. Rebecca Chapman is here from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. How is it in Louisiana? Hot today? I'm guessing. All right. So Bill and Tracy, you're partnered. You're husband and wife. Yep. And
Fourth year anniversary today.
Today is your wedding anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yep. And today is our 365th day of Bright Line Eating. We started June 12th of 2019.
On your wedding anniversary?
Day after, yeah.
Oh,
We binged on the 11th and then started on the 12th.
As one does. As one does. The Last Supper. It's a thing. Totally. I mean, not everybody does that, but yeah, it's a thing. I definitely had a few things that I needed to clear out of my freezer before I was ready to start.
Yeah.
So did you say 4th wedding anniversary?
Yeah.
Happy 4 years, you two.
Thanks.
Oh, and 3 years before Bright Line Eating and 1 year doing Bright Line Eating.
Yep.
Should we start with your numbers? I hear that you two have lost together like a redonkulous amount of weight. Do you want to share?
Go ahead.
I lost 150 pounds in a year.
Wow.
I'm down 130.
Wow. And still losing, I'm guessing, maybe.
We haven't weighed ourselves in 3 weeks because we've been in Wisconsin, but visiting my parents.
Wow.
Well, it could be more, but
200 pounds combined. 280 pounds. Your hugs must be really different now. Does it feel weird to hug each other?
I can put my arms all the way around him now. The first time I could put my arms and touch my arms together behind him, I was like, because I'd never been able to since I've known Bill. So
that's so precious. That's so precious. So, Bill, were you heavy as a kid?
yes. I've been heavy ever. I broke the 200 mark at 12 years old.
Wow.
And then I broke 300 at 15 years old, or 15 and a half. Because I remember when I went to get my driver's license, I put down 300 pounds, thinking I would lose the 10 pounds because I was 310. And it finally took, I think, 6 months ago to get under 300. So it took like 24 years to do it or something, but I did it.
So you're under 300 pounds for the first time since you were 14 years old or 15 years old?
I'm smaller than I was at 15.
Wow. Okay, I'm finding my mind blown right now, like trying to think about, I guess what coming of age was like for you, right? Being that size. Can you speak to that a little bit, what that felt like, what that experience was like?
I was always the big guy, but I just adjusted to it. I mean, there was nothing I could never do because if you're always big, you're always big. I mean, so I don't relate to people that gained weight like their best years were in high school. I mean, that's the biggest challenge for me right now is I don't know what, you don't know what you are at 12 years old when you're at the same weight or like I tried my FFA code on and I posted a picture, but that was when I was 15 and I'm actually smaller than I was. The jacket's big on me now.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was in high school.
Yeah.
Like mentally thinking. So it's so different to be walking around and it's interesting coming home because people don't recognize me. like there's a lot of people that they know me, but they thinking that until they hear my name, because I'm half the person I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some of his friends out and about, and they don't recognize us. And then once he starts talking to them, they're like, "Holy cow! Who are you, and what happened to you?" And it's been pretty remarkable.
Yeah. That happened to me once. I lost all my weight really dramatically and fast in 2003. And I was just finishing my PhD and moving to Australia at the time. And it was sort of the end of the school year, and I hadn't seen my professors for a little bit. And I was suddenly 60 pounds lighter. And I was walking in the stairwell of my academic building. And I walked past Robbie Jacobs, the computational modeling professor. And I said, "Hey, Robbie." And he didn't answer. And I was like, "Robbie." And because of my voice, he did a double take. He looked right through me. He didn't know who I was. And then he studied me, and he's like, "Oh my God, you've lost a lot of weight." But it's a particularly interesting, weird feeling, right? To show up in the world so physically different that people that you've known your whole life or known for years don't even recognize you.
I feel like I'm in my early 20s. My ambition level, I've always had a lot of ambition, but it has went through the roof, as Tracy can attest. But
and it's manifesting in what kinds of ways? What kinds of things?
Work, real estate, just life has opened up since we started this. And I wouldn't say it's the only reason, but I think it's a big part. It was the first stepping stone we needed, because we'll just say the winter before we started, we were pretty depressed and dark place, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got some guys here that know a little of what you speak. James Hefke's in the house. He says, "How much 1 year can literally change your life? Absolutely incredible." James just hit the 100-pound lost mark. And Tony Wade's in the house. He's lost big numbers as well. He says, "My mind is blown." Roy Williams says, "You folks are awesome." So many people are here. How about you, Tracy? Were you heavy as a kid? And
Not when I was little. I started gaining weight when I was 8, when my parents divorced, and I turned to food to cope. And I learned to rely on food as a crutch and as a emotional way to just emotionally eat, because it was the only thing that I could control in my life was the food.
Yeah.
And so I ate and ate and ate, and then I was, I guess, fairly normal sized body or whatever. When I graduated high school, I joined the Army, went right out of high school. And then for 4 years while I was in the Army, I was told every day, not every day, but most days, that I was overweight, because I was, per their standards. And then when I got out of the Army, I just kind of stopped caring about what I weighed and the foods that I ate, and I vowed that I was never going to run again or do any exercise.
no more push-ups for me.
And I stayed true to that vow until I hit 323 pounds. And then we, Bill touched on, we were at a dark place last year, but like we suffered a miscarriage, and then like I turned to the foods and alcohol and all of those. And we live in Fairbanks, and so of course in the winter it's dark anyway, and it's cold, and it was just very dark and cold and depressing. And we turned to all of the foods that we now know we shouldn't have been eating, and alcohol, and
We're the type where once we start something, it's all or nothing. Like for me, when I was smoking, like we quit smoking 4 months after we got married. And then I vowed not to gain weight. So I lost 90 pounds by just watching what I ate. And then I had a doctor tell me how, besides your obesity, is there anything else? So I went right back to the way I was eating, and I showed him by gaining my 90 pounds back. And then I got back up to my 415 pounds before we started this journey. But when I was smoked, it was 2 to 3 packs a day.
Yeah.
Or when I drank Diet Mountain Dew, I was drinking 24 cans a day.
Whew.
And when I ate, it was like 4,000 to 5,000 calories. And it's not, it just, that's the way I am. So that's why I really like the program with quantities, and because that's what I need, quantities and no flour and no sugar.
Yeah.
And I stuck with that.
Yeah.
And it works.
You got a lot of people that know you in the comments. I actually didn't know that you're from Fairbanks, Alaska.
We have a big group.
Yeah, you do. So now the comment, Jessica Penko says, Fairbanks in the house in the comments. Now it makes more sense. Fairbanks in the house. And Maria Mandich says, happy anniversary. I was at the first meeting these guys attended. Such a privilege to see them change and become happy, thin, and free. And then Janice Van Tessel says, hello, my awesome 10 buddies on the susceptibility scale, Tracy and Bill and Susan. Tracy was in one of my Gideon Games groups, and she and Bill are marvelous, and I love being on this journey with them. She's also released 150 pounds from her highest, 116 with Bright Line Eating. She says, thanks to our beloved and blessed Bright Line Eating program. Thank you, Susan and staff, for the program, the support, the blessing of being in a bright body. So many comments here for you. And Paula Parson Nicholson also says, hey, my Gideon Games leader and her sidekick, love you for all you do. Tracy, you're apparently really active in the Gideon Games. That's awesome.
I'm trying.
Yeah, good. It's such a great way to meet people, right? To like really get to know people well.
Yes.
Deeply. Yeah. Oh, so sweet. So how did you two find Bright Line Eating? What happened?
I work for a doctor in Fairbanks. I'm a medical assistant, and he follows the Food Revolution Network and the summit every year. And he had read your book years ago, and he told me about it a couple years ago, and it wasn't the right time for us. We weren't ready to surrender. And so last year in May, he invited us to a potluck at Jess Pinko's house. She's a Bright Lifer also. And it's a funny story, because at the time, like, I was so nervous to even go to her house, because as a medical assistant, like, doctors are doctors, they're respected, and I guess they're kind of put on a pedestal. But I just was like, oh my gosh, we're going to a doctor's house, and I just didn't know what to expect, and I was super scared, and I was nervous, and I almost just like drove to her house and then turned around and drove us home without even going in, because I was so scared to go into her house. And thankfully, I've got Bill, who's like, oh no, it's fine. Let's just go in. Let's just see what this is about. And the doctor I worked for, he told me that he would meet us there for moral support too. And so we go to Jess's house, and we had 5 doctors in the house, all preaching about how fabulous Bright Line Eating is and how it would just completely change our lives. Just made us a men's weight loss dinner just so we could like see what a meal would consist of. And we were shocked that there was like this mound of food that we were able to eat. And we split the dinner and we were full. Like, we were shocked. We were shocked that this was all the food you could eat. And so, and Dr. Amy Cyberlick, she's also a Bright Lifer. She's a naturopath in Fairbanks. And so she was talking to us about, if this is something you guys are interested in, we need to get labs done and do it the proper way, and, do a before Bright Line Eating kind of profile on us to see like how bad we really were. And so after his experience with his primary doctor, we never went back to that place. And so we were in need of a new primary. So we just started seeing Dr. Amy, and like, it's just been, we were welcomed with open arms that very first day. And we had like
thriving group. That just sounds so just.
It was amazing. It was amazing. We had like this whole room of people that were just like, they never looked at us as these gargantuanly obese people, because let's be honest, when you weigh 700 pounds combined, you get stared at when you go to a restaurant, and you get stared at when you go places.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time that we walked into a stranger's home, and we were just welcomed, open arms. Like, with love and support, and it literally changed everything.
Yeah.
Everything for us.
Yeah.
And
Because they're thinking, oh, what sweethearts, their brains are just hijacked. Like,
yeah.
of course, right?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
brains are just impacted that way by this insane food environment. Like they
Yep.
see right down inside to the soul of you, the heart of you, and just know like, that's got nothing to do with them. It's just some brains
Yep.
wire that way with the toxicity around us. Yeah.
And I told Jess, and I've told her before, like, we were like at the bottom rung of our ladder. Like we were literally holding on by a thread. And she threw us a lifeboat. Like she threw us that rope that we were able to climb our way out. And if it wasn't for her and her willingness to share this love of bright line eating with us, and Amy, Dr. Cyberlick, and Dr. Mandich, and the doctor that I worked for, like if it wasn't for all of these doctors that just reached their hands out to us, we wouldn't be here today.
Shannon Ladd says, you guys are so inspiring. This is the first time I can remember ever seeing Tracy smile so deeply and so happily. Love you both so much.
That's my sister.
Oh, wow. So she would know, huh? Wow.
Yep. Because of our success, she joined boot camp and joined Bright Lifers.
Wow. Jessica Panko says there's a huge contingent of Fairbanks people here on the call. Way to go, team Fairbanks. And is it Alicia or Alicia Marsh says, whoop, whoop, Fairbanks rocks. Beautiful. Oh, gosh. So Dr. Amy, it sounds like, did some blood work at the beginning. What's changed? What's changed with your health status?
Oh, my gosh. What hasn't? Bill, you go ahead.
So my blood pressure started at 140 over 90, and now it's 112 over 56. And my total cholesterol went from 128 to 91.
Total cholesterol?
Yeah.
You had low cholesterol to begin with.
I was going to say, from low to low. Wow.
My A1C went from 6.2 to 5.5.
Nice.
And then glucose went from 106 to 96. The fat around my heart went from 10 to 4.14. Like it wasn't even measurable. And then my testosterone went from 224 to 481 just by losing weight.
Wow. Do you feel that? Do you feel like more robust, more virile, more alive, more?
It was pretty weird. Yeah, you can definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. How
So
about
those are my big numbers.
And you know, this is true for some people who come from bigger numbers. You had not ridiculously horrible blood work to start with, right? Like I was talking with JP Schiller the other day. He came from big numbers too, but his I think his triglycerides were 6,000, he said, or something like I've never heard before. Yeah, seriously, right? So you actually your blood work was pretty shockingly, not awful for the size you were. Yeah.
Like my blood pressure it just went up to 140 the last year. Usually my normal was 120. So I have good blood pressure, but
yeah,
my diabetes was getting up there.
Yeah, that A1C was getting up there.
And it runs in both sides of my family. So it's either I do it on my terms or I'm going to have to change the way I eat no matter what. So I might as well do it on my terms.
Yeah. How about you, Tracy? What changed with you, your health status?
My total cholesterol went from 219 to 164.
Wow.
And then my triglycerides were 183 down to 109. And then the heart fat, the CRP, mine was over 10 when we started, and it dropped to 2.26.
Woo!
Which is now in a normal level. And then my glucose and A1C, they were all within the normal range when we started. I didn't have that problem. And then my blood pressure went from 126 over 82 to 110 over 64.
Nice.
And then the best part is I just had life insurance redone. Like I redid my physical for my life insurance. And before I had obese and I had the highest rating, and I was paying over $100 a month just for my policy. And added in life insurance, and for 2 policies now I've got preferred ratings and I'm paying less than $100 for both policies.
Wow.
That's the best part.
Love it. Love it. We've got a question from the crowd. I guess you're famous, Bill. People want you to talk about the setup that you have in your truck and how you eat on the road. So I don't know what they're talking about, but can you fill us in?
I drive truck for a living in Alaska, and so I live out of a microwave and a little fridge. So I pack usually a week of food.
Wait, when you say you drive a truck, do you mean like that's your profession and you know, like long hauls kind of like, is that what you mean?
Like the Ice Road Truckers show.
Okay, I don't watch TV, so, but you drive a truck, like basically like
I drive to the Arctic Ocean, to the oil fields.
Okay.
So I leave Fairbanks and it's 500 miles till you get to the oil fields.
Okay.
And there's nothing. There's one little spot, one restaurant at halfway up. So otherwise, there's no civilization, there's no cell phones, there's no anything.
Wow.
So I pack all my food with me. And then like this winter, there was a blizzard on Adigan Pass. It's the pass we go over. And the road was shut down for 2.5 days where you couldn't get over. So you're stuck out there. And I bring enough food usually for a day or 2 extra. But Tracy threw in the cauli rice packets you get from Costco, the microwaved ones, and the lentil packets. So I had some of them because I was running out of my food, because after 2.5 days there's not a lot of options.
Yeah.
So I mastered living out of a truck, but like the first week of BLE, we committed to doing our date, and then I got told at work that I had to be gone for a week. So the first week we did BLE, I was living out of a truck eating salads. And when I got home that week, I was done eating salads because I thought we had to eat mostly lettuce.
Oh no, you're one of those. Yeah. 8 ounces of lettuce. You're like, this is horrible. I can't do
And then
that.
I realized that I can eat canned vegetables.
Yeah.
And it was like changed everything. So now I can prep like a week's worth of food in like 20 minutes at home. And that's all breakfast.
You're maybe the first person I've ever heard like talk about canned vegetables and that kind of like happy to eat them, it's my lifesaver way, right? Like usually that's like someone's last ditch. Well, I guess I'll open a can. They don't have anything fresh.
Everybody, and a lot of people tell me how much sodium is in it, and it's like, I've ate a lot of sodium. Like drinking 24 cans of Diet Mountain Dew is way more sodium than 2 cans of vegetables.
Yeah.
And I really like canned peas and green beans and stuff. And I like fresh vegetables too, but for the road, they're so convenient because it's like a can of green beans weighs 8 ounces. Can of corn weighs 9.8. It's like you just dump it in, you add a little bit and add your 6 ounces of protein and you go.
So Jackie Markville wants to know, how do you heat your food? You said you have a microwave too. You got a fridge and a microwave in your truck. They just plug it in somewhere?
I got an inverter. I got an inverter in my sleeper.
Nice.
So, like my home away from home. I actually probably spend more time in there than I do in my real house.
Wow. Brilliant.
So it works. I mean, I got to be diligent, but I can make it work pretty easy. I mean, this spring, I was actually driving a truck with no microwave for a week, and we were team driving. So I had to pack all my food in a cooler with ice for a week, and I had no microwave. So it was like carrots and hummus and nuts, and then salad mixes, like the Caesar salad. I buy a bag of that, and just add nuts to it. And I wouldn't have done it at the beginning, but my tastes have changed. So now I like hummus and all kinds of stuff. But I make it work. I mean, I like to say that create a way, not an excuse or something like that. You just got to do it. I mean,
say that again. That's an incredible saying.
Create a way, not an excuse.
Create a way, not an excuse.
Yeah, you got to make it happen for yourself sometimes.
I love that. I love that.
We went plant-based for 2 months in November and December over Thanksgiving. And I did plant-based on the road for 2 months.
Mm.
And like in the oil fields, they got a lot of man camps where it's unlimited food, buffets, donuts, salad bar. And I actually found plant-based options. I had to eat the whole salad bar, and I ate all their hummus because they only had 3 little 2-ounce packages of hummus, but I cleaned them out. But I still made it work, and I could have ate all the bad food up there, and you just walk away from it. And I don't get, it's weird. After doing it a year, I don't get cravings for that food. And like we can go out to pizza with the guy, like, and our friends have been very helpful or understanding. I mean, we go out to eat with our friends, and I just tell them that we don't eat flour and sugar. And like 2 weeks ago, our friends, they wanted pizza. And I said, well, that's fine. You can have pizza. We're just going to bring our salads. And they didn't look at us differently. Or we had our Caesar salads with nuts, and then they ate their pizza. And I didn't have any cravings. And
Didn't even look good.
Nice. So, how has your relationship with each other changed?
I think we're a lot closer. We're definitely a lot closer now. Because when he lost the 90 pounds before, I didn't eat the same way that he did. And I think that was one of the biggest things that he failed with. Because I would eat his food when he was home, but as soon as he left for the road, I would go back to eating all of the other stuff that I was eating that he wasn't eating. And so I never really truly committed to eating that way and helping him and being that support. And for us and for anybody in the Bright Line Eating community, like support is one of the pillars that keeps all of us on track and keeps our lines bright. Without the support, we really have nothing. And so from day one, we knew that like we had to do this together. You know, we could have just done one boot camp and, you know, each learn the material off of the one boot camp, but we knew we both needed to have the accountability. We had to invest some money into it so that we would stick with it. Because if I did Weight Watchers and it was like $20. Yeah, I counted my points today. Or I would cheat and just hoard all my points for my wine at night. You know, and eat cucumbers all day. Like, that's not healthy. You know, like
fine. Diet changes.
Yeah. I mean, now looking back, like that was just my saboteur saying, that's really smart. Just hoard all your points and then you can have whatever you want at the end of the day. You know, and so
what do you think?
We just had to.
what's that?
Yeah. So yeah, Tracy, I hear you saying that you're just closer. You're doing this major thing together. It wasn't the same when he was doing a food plan or a food thing and you weren't doing it. It's just there's so much unity, togetherness, support, and you each have plugged into the Bright Line Eating Fellowship also individually. So there's some amount of autonomy as well because you both are getting support, but you're together and doing it. What do you think, Bill? How do you feel your relationship has changed through doing Bright Line Eating?
We've gotten closer, but it also opened up, like opportunities opened up. Like we're just starting to live life now, where before we were hitting the cruise control of life.
Yeah.
Like in our getting to our late 30s, early 40s, and we're just life's opening it up, things are happening, and it's like we're just, like I said, we're like in our 20s.
I get this feeling of excitement and possibility when you talk about that.
We both have a form of confidence that we have never had in our lives prior to Bright Line Eating. And I mean, you're saying like, come for the vanity and stay for the sanity. Like that has been so true for me because the weight loss was just a side effect, so to speak. Like the things like the self-confidence and the health aspects, like just I can run up a flight of stairs and I'm not winded. You know, when we first came home to his parents' house, like we were working nonstop on their farm for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, like my mother-in-law asked me to do something and she's like, oh, we'll get it later. And I'm like, I'll just go do it right now. It's fine. And she just is like, where do you get this energy from? It's like, well, I didn't have it. You know, I definitely didn't have it 130 pounds ago. I would have already been on the couch with my feet up saying I'm tired.
Mm.
I enjoy not being the fat guy in the room anymore.
Nice. Yeah. Debbie Roquette says, you are both glowingly healthy. Thank you for being so inspiring. And Laura Krug says something similar. Bill and Tracy, you are such an inspiration for everyone who struggles with their weight. You instill hope that it is possible. You both look amazing. So sweet. Kelly Dugan says, relationship goals, weight loss goals, healthy living goals, very inspirational. Congrats and happy anniversary. Oh, sweet. Bill, you're a guy in Bright Line Eating, which makes you a little bit rare. We have mostly women in Bright Line Eating. And what are your thoughts on being a guy in Bright Line Eating and Bright Line Eating for men? Like, yeah, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a very good program, but I think it's really hard for guys to relate to a lot of the program just because of the way we think. Like as a guy, as a kid, I was never told watch what you eat because you're going to gain weight. You're always encouraged to eat everything or eat a lot. That's just the way guys are. And as a guy, a woman will always, since a little girl, they're always told about their looks. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way society is right now. I mean, it's hard. You can't change society overnight by any means, but guys don't relate to that. If we get a beer belly, they in their 30s or 40s, they say, oh, you just got a beer belly. They expect it, the dad bod or whatever it is. I mean, that's just the way guys think. So I think a lot of guys get turned off with all the womanized of the program, but the emotional side. And for me, I just like the program for the no flour, no sugar, the weight. And that's what I use. I mean, I tell everybody I use what I need. Everybody has their own journey, like a binger, which I can't relate to a binger side, but there's a lot of women that have that. I mean, there's probably guys with a binging problem. I mean, I ate a lot of food. I didn't have the binging aspect. So we all have our own issues and we all have to find the way that works for the program. And that's what's nice about Bright Line Eating. There's so many different options or different avenues, you know, that works, that everybody picks up on their own little thing. And I think that's why it can be so successful. But I am a firm believer that they have to be no flour, no sugar. And that's our hard line. Yeah. We do not eat any flour or any sugar products.
Knowingly.
That's period.
Yeah. And that core of the program, just the Bright Line concept itself is very masculine, right? It's like, here's the line, soldier, don't eat that food. Like, period, you know? It's very very direct, right? It's clear, almost harsh. I don't know what harsh is a little bit, but it's cut and dried, right? There's no frills around that line. It's just a line, you know? But yeah, I think we do tend to bubble wrap that line with a lot of emotionality and compassion and softness and love. And, you know, we put the women around here, we put frills or, you know, bows and ribbons around the line a little bit. Yeah, that's what my husband was saying. He's like, could you just take the script off the website, the curly cue? Like, no, the guys don't want to see that, right? Can you just put a straight up font on there, please, instead of that cursive? Any thoughts on how we could attract more men or retain more men? Have you gotten involved in the men's group that we've got?
I have. I'm a very busy guy with my, because I usually work 60 to 70 hours at my normal day job. And then with our real estate, that takes up the rest of my time. So I'm probably working away from home about 120 hours a week, I think. So it's nice when I don't have to think about food. And because I know the first thing we did was we cleaned out our house of food, so of all bad food. So nothing in our house has any of that, so we can eat anything in our house, which makes everything so much easier because you just go home and you make a meal and you weigh it and you're done.
Yeah.
So, but I think with guys, it has, I don't know, I don't know how you would do it. You'd have to have a whole, like you need a subcategory. Does that make sense? Just
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. And I think one is sort of snowballing. I'm JP Schiller's here. He says in all caps, BLE men for the win. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of guys who are kind of just creating, I don't know, it's almost like a man cave within Brightline Eating is what it feels like.
for guys, you got to focus on the health aspect because that's what the guys think about their health. I mean, and they think going to the gym is going to lose weight, which it does, but if you just watch what you eat, you'll lose way more weight. I mean, I lost 150 pounds by not exercising, which just by watching what I eat.
Yeah.
Exercise is very beneficial, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to lose weight, diet is the way to lose weight.
Yeah.
Exercise is great for your health, cardio, and all that, but strictly weight is eating and not eating bad food.
Yeah, totally. All day. All day.
And I think that's the direction it needs to, for men, you know, health and diet, and that'd be my 2 cents.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bill. Thanks. Are you two still involved with the social Brightline Eating group in Fairbanks? Barbara Wiley says, thank you for sharing. Is there a BLE support group in Fairbanks? I live in North Pole, Alaska. I started Brightline Eating in March after a doctor recommended the program. And apparently she's already got lots of comments from people, so she might already know. But yeah, are you guys still hooked up there?
Fairbanks Brightest is the Facebook group. Before COVID-19, we would have a weekly coffee meetup where we'd just get together. Whoever could would show up and we'd have coffee together and talk about struggles, triumphs, whatever we had going on in our lives. And then also pre-COVID-19, we tried to do like at least monthly potlucks where we could share our recipes and ideas and just have that community support. And then Jess Pinko, she's the one that runs the Fairbanks Brightest, and she threw us 100 parties for when we lost our 100 pounds. And she had a couple, she had like Tony Wade and Sonia Johansson Waters and Laura Burnett come on and talk to us all via Skype or Zoom, and had a big, it was phenomenal to like actually get to see people that we, you know, were inspired by in the community to like get on and talk to us about like how phenomenal we were. And it was huge.
Because Fairbanks has its own set of dynamics being in Fairbanks, because like fresh produce only lasts like 2 to 3 days. Like you go to a salad bar, you look for not slimy lettuce. You have brown lettuce, but there's a lot of slimy lettuce in Fairbanks. So the quality of vegetables is not high.
So you reminded me of this story. I was in the middle of central Colorado, kind of a little bit in a desert. I was western Colorado rather, over the summer, and we were making a salad. I was a little kid, tiny little kid, and there was this head of lettuce. I was trying to make the salad, and I like peeled off all the brown, slightly wilted stuff and threw it in the garbage. It left like just the center heart of the lettuce, and that's what I was trying to make the salad out of. And the mom of the house came over, pulled all this lettuce out of the garbage off the top, and she said, "You are not in California. This lettuce is fine." And she put it all back in the bowl. I love your description. Totally.
It wasn't until we went to California that Bill actually had an avocado that wasn't brown.
Oh.
And he was like, "Oh, these are actually green. Is this good?" And I said, Hate to break it to you, but that's actually the best, ripest avocado you'll ever have in your life.
Oh my gosh, I'm just saying, you're not making me want to move to Alaska. Just saying.
Come visit. Summer times are gorgeous and they're beautiful, and we have farmers markets, and you have 23 hours of daylight.
Yeah.
Winters are bad.
Yeah.
Harder.
And those usually good, but you just gotta find it.
So there's tons of comments in here about the men's thing. Let me just say, Teresa Clooney is saying, I love reading the men's perspectives in the posts. Jessica Panko says, a men's program should focus on athletic performance, mental acuity, decreased inflammation, cardiovascular health. She says, BLE is a great template for lifestyle change of all kinds. Vicky K says, BLE bold line eating for men. No frills, no thrills. And then Roy L. Williams has a great perspective. He says, I'm a man that also has emotions. Maybe it's just my feminine side talking, but I refuse to give up my emotions just to be a man. And it's so interesting that you say that, Roy, because there's some research showing that androgyny, as defined by a strongly present complement of male traits, typically masculine traits, and female traits, together in the same person, tend to be correlated with like success and high self-esteem and just positive things all around. I consider myself to be pretty androgynous, right? I'm pretty direct, outspoken, vocal. I have a lot of typically masculine style traits. So I love that, Roy. And yeah, men who develop their communication abilities and their empathy and their compassion and their emotions, yeah, tend to do great. So yeah, I love that. And I love, there's a lot of men here commenting, and it's just really sweet. We've already mentioned some of the men in the house. There's a bunch of them. Someone was commenting, it's really sweet. Alicia Marsh says, it's so awesome that you're doing it together. It makes things so much better to have a supportive spouse. Totally. Jill Tiedman says, you guys are so inspiring. I'm on day 2 of Resume, and I'm just so inspired by you. Yeah. Laura Krug says, you are so inspiring to listen to. Bill has mastered eating away from home. I realize I can eat as well when I'm out to a restaurant eating with friends as I can at home. So true.
And
so
people
true.
don't judge you.
Mm-mm.
That's the thing. They really don't, right? They really don't care.
No.
They really don't.
Like we went to our friends the other night and they invited us for supper, and I said, well, we just don't eat flour and sugar, just eat protein and lots of vegetables. And they made it. They didn't have it all worked out. I mean, you just got to tell them, but it's not like they're going out of their way. I mean, just make it work.
Yeah.
Because who's going to argue with you when you say you eat vegetables and lean protein or protein?
Yeah.
It's not like a foo-foo diet or anything. No one can argue the way we eat is bad for you.
Yeah.
It's just vegetables, majority of vegetables.
Totally. The emotions conversation keeps going in the chat. Jackie Barkdole and Roy L. Williams love this. It's great that you're embracing your emotional side, because we often suppress emotions and it causes emotional eating. Very true. And James Hefke says, hiding and keeping emotions inside keeps you sick, not worth it. That's why I'm as transparent as I am in the community, to show men that it's okay to talk about emotions, that we aren't weak, that it's okay to be a human being, because at the end of the day, male or female, we are just human beings. Love it. Love it. Love it. Tracy, Bill, what else?
I just know, like, when we started, my biggest challenge was dealing with my emotions, because for so much of my life, I didn't allow my emotions to take root, and I just shoved them down with food and with wine and with beer or whatever else. And that was my biggest struggle, was learning to communicate with Bill about my emotions and having to feel sadness and anger and the bad emotions, really, because that's typically when I would self-medicate myself and shove them all down, was the bad emotions. So through counseling, I've been able to like figure out how to deal with these bad emotions and not think, oh, I need to eat XYZ, because we both know that's not going to help anything. The only thing that's going to help is accepting the emotions, feeling those emotions, processing them, and letting them take flight.
Totally.
And thankfully, and I'm thankful that, you know, at 41, I can finally say, like, emotions are great. It's great to have emotions. They do so much for us in our daily life, but it's how we choose to deal with those emotions. And I choose not to let them run my life. And I choose not to shove them down, but to feel them.
It's beautiful, Tracy. And, you know, I wanted to circle back actually, because you've mentioned alcohol a few times. And it sounds like alcohol was a big part of your life and a big coping strategy, right? A big, you know, helpful crutch before Bright Line Eating. And so can you speak a little bit about what it's been like for you to give up alcohol and what that process has been like? And
it was a hard line. I mean, you wrote in the book that the body just processes alcohol as nothing but sugar. So to me, alcohol was sugar, and it was part of the no bright line, or that was a no on the bright lines. Yeah. Because we committed to no sugar, no flour. So since June 12th of last year, I haven't had a single drop or want of alcohol. Woo. And I'm fine. I drink sparkling water.
Yeah.
I really like lots of flavors of sparkling water, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And so do you think because you are that clear about it and that definitive about it, that the bright line was so bright, it was just pretty easy for you? You just moved
like at the beginning, you know, like I guess probably because I didn't know how I would feel with bright line eating, but in the beginning I tried to bargain with myself and say, oh, when I hit maintenance, I'll allow myself a glass of wine occasionally. Oh, when I hit maintenance, I can do this. And when I hit maintenance, I can do that. And now, like, I don't want wine. I don't want alcohol. I don't want any of it. I feel so much better in my skin and in my mind. And like, life is so much better now that I can't imagine bringing alcohol back into it, because I don't see how that could possibly serve me any good for the rest of my life. And I can say that, like, for me, it's not just one day at a time with alcohol, it's forever. Like, I have no desire for it.
Yeah. How about you, Bill? Was giving up alcohol a thing for you?
I never drank much. I would maybe drink once a year.
Yeah. Okay.
But I had a CDL since I was 19, so. Wow. And I don't like the taste of alcohol much, so that wasn't my thing.
Yeah. Diet Mountain Dew was his alcohol.
Yeah, right? How was that, giving up your Mountain Dew?
That was rough.
Yeah.
I quit cold turkey. I went from 24 cans on June 11th to 0 the next day.
Mm-hmm. Woo! How was that headache?
There was a lot of headaches that week.
Because just in case people don't know, Mountain Dew's got like double sugar and double caffeine. Just saying. That's a lot of sugar and a lot of caffeine.
And Diet Mountain Dew is very addictive.
Uh-huh. Did you feel like you had the flu kind of that week? Was it serious physical withdrawals?
And not really, but I think there was a lot going on with the sugar withdrawals and sugar, and just there was a lot.
And for him being on the road the first week, trying to shove down these salads, because we packed him nothing but salads for the first week for lunch and dinner.
We'll just say we were overwhelmed the first night of how the program. We kept it. Once we realized that we could just keep it very simple, it changed everything. Because now it's easy.
Yeah.
But like that first week was kind of it was a bear, but.
Totally. Yeah, I'm sponsoring someone these days, and she came to me with all kinds of recipes and sexy this and sexy that, and we're just working on like just simplifying her food plan. Like you can eat kind of the same things in rotation, and it's like really simple. The simpler you keep it, just the easier it gets, and then the food chatter calms down. Mm-hmm. So much easier, right?
Yep.
And it's amazing what your body tells you what you need. You know, like I was talking to Tracy's boss about it. Like when I get off the road, I crave just a raw veggie salad.
Mm.
Where it's just lettuce and raw vegetables and beans on it, and it's just that's what I crave when I come home. And it's like, I guess my body's telling me I need more vegetables, but raw. But that would have never happened before, because before you would
Never.
bad food or whatever it was, and
Mhm.
so it's interesting.
Did you live in a fog for a bit? Bridget Cannon wants to know. What was that withdrawal like? Were you foggy?
Yeah, I would say yes, I was. And I know it's because because we had our date set of exactly when we were going to start. And like I said, like the week, especially before, we went all out and we ate everything that we knew we were never going to eat again, or we probably wouldn't eat again. And so I would definitely say I had a pretty good brain fog, and I had withdrawals the first week, but they got better and better, and I started feeling better and better. And then in my dynamic house, that was our boot camp house, somebody had posted, like, if you're hungry or you start feeling hunger pains, drink a lot of water and then belch. If you can still taste your lunch, you're not actually hungry. And I was like, that's really clever.
That's
And
funny.
so that's what I lived, like the first month of boot camp, like that's what I did. Like when I would feel hungry in between my meals, like, nope, still taste my lunch, I'm good. I'm not actually hungry. That's just, my body thinking I'm hungry, and I drink more water.
That's so funny. Jenny McCluskey has a sweet question. She says, do you both tend to enjoy the same foods and have a well-synced automaticity together?
90% of the foods we both enjoy, I would say.
I haven't gotten Tracy to like mushrooms yet, so I'm still working on that one.
Nice.
So for supper, we usually have the same thing. We'll make some kind of meat or plant-based, whatever we're doing that time, or lunch. Breakfast, she usually does her overnight oats, and I do mini potatoes and eggs. But
yeah. Jessica Panko says, ask about the parking lot moment early on. Tell us about the parking lot moment. Uh-oh, look at Tracy. It's a thing. Now we definitely need to hear. Okay, and Bill's blushing, I do believe.
you can tell the story.
Just saying, I asked ahead of this, ahead of going live, is there anything I can't ask? And they said they were, but despite Bill's blushing, we're still in fair territory. Just saying.
So very early on in Bright Line Eating, we needed to go to the grocery store, and we were sitting in the car talking before we actually went into the store, and we were talking about emotional stuff, because that was when I was still like really struggling with dealing with the emotions of not eating sugar and flour. And somebody said that there was some dust that got into the car and got into his eyes, because he started tearing up a bit because he was finding his emotions. And
So I made the comment, it's hard to be a woman, because I had so much estrogen in my body.
Because his testosterone levels were so low and his estrogen levels were actually quite high for a man, because he had such high adipose tissue, and estrogen is stored in adipose tissue. So yeah, he had his estrogen moment.
So I'm crying in the grocery store parking lot at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
Oh.
For no particular reason.
Oh.
It was
It's sweet.
horrible.
It's sweet. I like the parking lot story. Oh.
He has emotions.
Yeah.
They're going away now with my testosterone getting better.
That problem solved. Yeah. Emotions are gone now. Eileen Lass says, thank you for your openness. Maybe sadness and anger are not bad emotions. Do you feel younger as well as healthier?
Yeah, absolutely. Both of us. I'm 41 this year, and I don't feel like I'm 41. And Bill has said multiple times he feels like he's in his 20s again.
Yeah.
And, if only we could, reverse the clock on our lives, and we could have learned this when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
But I'm not sad. We had to learn the lessons that we learned in our 20s and 30s to get to where we were able to just surrender.
Yeah.
because that was our key, is that we were at a place where we had to surrender. There was no middle ground. It was, we were doing it or we were not going to live very long.
Yeah.
And if we lived longer, we were going to have very miserable lives.
You don't live very long at 415 pounds.
No.
You just.
And you don't have a very good quality of life either.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, my best friend, maybe one of my top 3 or 4 best friends 7 years ago. Yeah, she was 350 pounds. And this was before Bright Line Eating existed. And she tried cleaning up her diet for a bit and then fell off the wagon. And she was dead, within 9 months. She died of a heart attack at age 38. And she, Bill, just like you, she had good blood work. She didn't have a single alarming health, marker on her blood work, but she was, well over 300 pounds, and she died of a heart attack. And yeah, no, it's really true. Poor quality of life and early death, and 63% of Americans are dying, way too young because of, things associated with the food that we put in our mouth.
Yep.
Really true. It's not an exaggeration. You guys really felt the reality there.
I know I've seen a lot of truck drivers die of heart attacks in their 50s, 60s. And just this winter, 2 guys died on the road with heart attacks, in their mid to upper 60s. And trucking's a hard occupation for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, most are not healthy, and that doesn't add. So it's either you do something about it or you die at an early age. It's black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of sitting. It's circadian rhythm disruption, right? Because you're often driving through the night. Is that correct? Yeah. And then a recipe for, it's loneliness too, right? So it's a recipe for eating for comfort and companionship. And
I mean, like, our hours up here are horrible. Like, I'll usually leave Fairbanks about noon. I'll get up at like 5 in the morning because that's the time I usually get up. I'll go to work at noon to load my tanker and go to Prudhoe. And I'll drive to like 11 o'clock at night. I'll sleep for 8 hours, get up, and then go to Prudhoe, come back home, and I'll get home at midnight, then get up at 6 again in the morning. That's my week. But so you make it work, but that's just a truck driver's life. I mean, most people that don't do it will never relate to it because it's not a standard schedule. I would not be good at a standard schedule, so I'm used to it, but I've been doing it for 15 years. So I make it work, and my times I eat are wonky at times because can't eat too early because I try to only eat 3 meals a day, but like in winter, I'll be honest, I bring carrots along because I don't drink caffeine anymore on the road. I don't snack. So I have a bag of carrots with me for when it's at 10, 11 o'clock at night, just to do something because you're by yourself. But you got to make it work. I mean, carrots, a whole bag of carrots are what, 300 calories for 32 ounces of carrots? Quarter bag of chips is 1,000 calories, or I don't know. Before I'd eat a whole bag of potato chips, and carrots are healthy, but it's part of making it work for me, and that's.
Yeah. And this is where I love, we've got some good sayings around here in Bright Line Eating. Do what gives you peace, do what works, right? And absolutely. Maybe last question, Karis Gillinek says, how did you start exercising? What does your routine look like?
We haven't.
There you go.
That's our next stage.
Yeah. Nice.
We wanted to do the weight, like you said, lose the weight first, and then, because we took your book very seriously, when you said, what related to us was, it's not for, like, what was it? Only do it, think about today, or you're not having it today, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that relates, that's so true. Like, we might have pizza again someday, but It's just not today.
Yeah.
When you think of like that, it just kind of simplifies everything. Because you're not thinking about the future and getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, my dears? So good to spend this time with you.
Just, I don't know, I guess my biggest advice to people would be just try it. Even just try no sugar, no flour. If you don't want to, if you're afraid, or if you don't, if you don't think that there's anything else that you can do, just give yourself the time for a good 2 weeks. Try no sugar, no flour. Try eating more vegetables, mostly vegetables. Just do it. Set a date and do it. Do, as you said, take lots of before pictures. Get your blood work done. Have all of that stuff to go back and compare to. Because every month we do our pictures and we take our measurements, and I knew I was obese. I knew I was, but now going back and looking at the difference in my measurements, like I've lost lots of inches all over. And it's incredible to me. Like as an adult, like I don't remember ever going to a department store and shopping in the regular sizes. I always had to go to the plus sizes. And like I can go to a store and shop in the regular sizes. And it's like, oh, a whole new world opened up. And like I can't get over, like I like shopping now. I hated shopping. I despised shopping. Like my family would say, let's go shopping. No thanks. Because I never found joy in it, because I was always embarrassed that I was the fat one of the family. And just give yourself time, because it'll come together. Even if like the first couple days you're struggling and you're hungry, drink lots of water. Lots of water, and if you have to do the burp test, do the burp test.
I've never heard that burp test before. I like that. That's a keeper. How about you, Bill? What are your thoughts?
As Dave Ramsey says, keep it simple. I think everybody overthinks it. And if you just boil it down to being simple, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
And you got to be hard. No cheating the first ever, because I guarantee you if we would have cheated, we wouldn't have stuck, because that just leads to, and then we got into a habit. Does it take 27 days, they say, but it probably takes longer. I've read that it takes longer, but now we're so set in our ways that we can find anywhere, basically, no sugar, no flour.
That's right.
Bill, one time, he had to go to Kodiak for a trip, and they brought out pizza for everybody at the end of the shift. And what did you do? You took all the toppings and everything, you scraped everything off the crust and ate the toppings.
Because that was all there was.
That was literally all he had to eat.
Because we were working at the dock unloading trailers.
Yep, that'll do. Minus the crust. Yep.
You know what? I was fine. I survived.
Yep, totally. Yeah, I always say you can find a Brightline meal at an airport at 4 a.m. There's always something. Seriously.
Chicago was really nice, where they got the vending machines.
Yeah. Oh, people have so much love for you too. Teresa Clooney says, I love that you grew together, supporting each other. I can feel your love for each other and for life. Amy Fantazzi says, I like that you found what works for you. Chrissy Kempf says, so great to see this sweet couple. Jessica Penko says, way to go, you guys. You're super inspiring. We love you so much. Jenny McCluskey says, you both look so sweet. Such adorable smiling. Love you too. Shannon Ladd says, love you both so much. Happy anniversary. Heart, heart, heart. Laura Krug says, hi, Susan, Bill, and Tracy. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Oh, everyone, we've been with Bill and Tracy Krenz. So sweet to see them from Fairbanks, Alaska, representing this amazing, thriving fellowship up in Fairbanks, Alaska. A whole bunch of doctors have taken hold of the Brightline Eating program and are just singing it from the rooftops. And Bill and Tracy Krenz wandered into a gathering one night and have never been the same since. They're down a collective combined 280 pounds and still losing. And it's so sweet to meet you both. Thank you for joining us, Bill and Tracy.
Good to meet you.
Precious. There's a link to the susceptibility quiz in the show notes and in the pinned comments. So if you don't know where you are on the susceptibility scale, you don't have to be a 10 like Bill and Tracy and I are for Bright Line Eating to really help you out. But it's good to know where you're at, because that gives you a sense of what kind of brain you're dealing with when it comes to those crazy foods out there. And so check that out if you haven't already. And Bill and Tracy, so much love to you. Blessings on your way. And I can't wait to check in with you again in another few months, year or so, just see what's happened on your journey. So much love, you two.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.